Concern after a Russian airstrike near NATO territory. Russia hit a Ukrainian military training facility that's just about 10 miles from the Polish border, killing at least 35 people and wounding over 100.
Joining us now with the latest from Ukraine, ABC News senior foreign correspondent Ian Pannell. Ian, thanks for being with us. And yeah, so just 10 miles from Poland. Is this a shift in Russian strategy? What is the sense there on the ground with this latest attack?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have seen a shift in strategy because this land invasion has effectively stalled in so many areas. We're seeing this switch to increase heavy bombardment. And I have to just show you where we are. We're in one of the suburbs of Kyiv, a residential apartment block that was hit at 5 a.m. I'm just going to step out the shot so James can show you much more clearly. What you're looking at is what remains of someone's kitchen. You can still see some of the equipment hanging there on the wall and some of the tea towels, the cloths to wipe up the dishes. And we pan the camera up just to see the scale of the destruction of the building. So the rocket landed pretty much by the entrance, and you can see the power of the blast blowing out all the windows, destroying all of these apartments here. We're seeing residents go back inside right now to try and recover what they can. It's a miracle that only one person died there. But this is what people are having to live with, and this is what indiscriminate bombing looks like. Guys?
Ian, you mentioned you're on the outskirts of Kyiv now, but the march to Kyiv, if you will, has continued for Russian troops. Maybe not going as smoothly, maybe expected to be there already, but how does the nature of the conflict change if and when Russian troops make it to the capital?
I don't know whether you heard that. We're hearing that sound of bombardment, exactly what you were describing there, TJ. That is the Russians trying to break the defenses of the Ukrainian military. I mean, I would say we've heard much heavier fighting today than at any point throughout this conflict. There's another blast there. They're pushing hard against Ukrainian forces who are trying to resist. And everyone is asking the same question: how long can they hold out? I think there's a strategy by the Russians to try and encircle Kyiv. But again, because they've had so many problems on the ground, they still don't have the physical force. And as long as those supply routes are open, then the Ukrainians can try and stand and resist. But yeah, it will all change. And I've seen this in other conflicts. You know, the battle is all around us, but when it comes into the city, you're talking about people in the firing line, more civilians dying, significant loss of life, damage to infrastructure. But the clear objective, I think, of the Russians is to try and take Kyiv. If you take Kyiv, then you probably won this war.
And Ian, hearing what you're hearing there all around you, seeing that horrific scene behind you, it's clear why so many millions have fled seeking refuge. But for those who have stayed behind, what is the situation like? How dire is the need for food, for supplies, for basic needs?
Yeah, every day is just getting harder and harder. More and more people are kind of living underground. The metro system here, the subway system, was built to basically withstand a nuclear war. And so people are living hundreds and hundreds of feet underground overnight. But you see in the stores things like fresh meat and chicken, water supplies will become an issue, especially the properly besieged. Kyiv is still getting supplies in, but Mariupol on the Black Sea coast has been surrounded for about 10 days now. A total siege. No heating, no electricity, no power, limited water, limited food, bodies on the street, mass graves being dug, and still the Russians bombard it all the time. You know, those are going to be real issues for places like this if they get properly encircled.
And we do want to ask here as well about an American journalist, Brent Renaud, who was killed there. What's the reaction you're getting, I guess, from folks on the ground there, from fellow journalists to this news?
Yeah, I mean, everyone's acutely aware of the dangers here, and that's why we come and report, is not because of the dangers, but because of what you see happening to the civilians. And that is the risk of doing this. But you know, this has to be recorded. This has to be witnessed, and the people we talk to want their voices heard because it validates their experience. It means that the world hears the tragedy of what's happening to civilians. It's why people are often willing to talk to you on the worst day of their lives. So yes, as journalists, we take the risk. We know the risks. I know people who have lost their lives, people who have been injured in the past. But the reason we keep coming to do this is because if we don't shine a light on these kinds of horrific events, then the world doesn't see, and then there's no chance of reacting and responding.
Ian, we certainly appreciate your service and what you do each and every day. You and your team, I know you mentioned James there. Please give them our best. We know you're doing your best to stay safe, but we do thank you for your incredible reporting and for being our eyes and our ears and letting the world know what's happening there. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.